All right, let's talk about what happened in the UK elections. And I was watching in the early wee hours of the morning reports coming out on YouTube on the channels I watch about the results, the preliminary results, and then later on the more concrete results, and how the Tories and Conservatives uh, basically took the elections, and uh, and the thing is that uh, as I was watching one of the first results, preliminary results, I don't know a lot about the electoral system. I didn't know a lot about the electoral system in the UK. But the Rational National with David Dole, he knows a lot about it because I guess from what I understand, it's a lot like Canadian parliamentary elections. And uh, as I was watching the preliminary report, I was thinking that it didn't make any rational sense. There's a lot of people get their information and news from independent social media, and the thing is uh, as I watched all this going down and what I knew about what was taking place, I was I was starting to see that there was a lot of people that were getting uh, more informed, and we all know that there's a criminal bias by the lamestream or mainstream or whatever the hell you want to call it media, and so and I use criminally negligent. Well, actually, not negligent. It's just criminal. Uh, but David explained that the electoral system in the UK is much like here in the U.S., where we have, with in the Democratic Party, we have the super delegates, and then we also have the electoral college, and then we got gerrymandering and all that other stuff, and how that works to give advantages to those who scream the loudest, who do the most hypocrisy, who do the most lies, and who advantage those who have money and wealth, and therefore power and influence. Um, so I had an intuition, a feeling that was the case in the UK, and David basically uh, affirmed my suspicions. Um, so you should watch David's Dole of the Rational National, uh, his video on the UK elections, because that will inform you on what I'm talking about. So, um, so I've been saying on my channel, and I've been talking about how basically I'm what comes down to is rig basically means cheating, lying, stealing. Uh, Basically, it's advantaging those who have ill intent, and those ill intent is basically means that it's advantaging organized crime. So, and I've said it over and over again that that what we have are organized criminals in our political machine. And so, and then when you have organized criminals, there is no such thing as democracy. And it's not a recent phenomenon. I've been saying about this before, even the official founding of this country. It was taken from the time of before the time of colonialism. Basically, you had a bunch of invaders and butcherers and so on and so forth that came over, and basically they brought their organized criminality with them. Like I said, it's a few who have the influence, who are outright criminals, who have an outsized influence with the greater population. So I made a comment on watching David's video, and one of the things, and I'm actually kind of tickled and proud of coming up with this. And it basically, what the last part of the comment was that basically what the UK, the US, India, and France, Germany, you name it. What we have is casino democracy, and we all know that going to a casino, the house always wins. So if you look at it in those terms, the inevitable conclusion is that we don't have an actual democracy where the votes of one vote, counting every single vote, we don't have that. And I'm not, and to be honest, I've come to the conclusion I'm not really a fan of democracy. Not in the form that it is. And so casino democracy is, however you want to take it, in any rational, coherent way, is not a democracy. It's people are talking about capitalism, but basically it's feudalism rebranded. We still have lords, ladies, kings, queens. Just because the faces and names may change, we still have it. And the proof is that the Bushes aren't put in jail. Clinton wasn't put in jail. Nixon wasn't put in jail. McConnell isn't in jail, or Pelosi isn't in jail. The fact that we have criminal pundits in our media, and they're not in jail. The fact that I forget the guy's name, but he was a grandmaster or something, grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was actually elected into political office. That he's not in jail, and he's walking around free, and is given legitimacy. That basically affirms that we have a casino democracy. What I see and envision as a democracy is one that that the collective needs of the whole outweighs everything. And it has to be based on natural laws. And we all know what natural laws are. We don't want someone to be able to come up and stab us. And we don't accept ourselves going out there to stab somebody else. That's natural law. We must, in a democracy, we must not be tolerant of the intolerable. That's natural law. And so, a natural law democracy, that is something I can back. But a casino democracy or any form of government which is rigged, and they're all rigged, where the few have the power and influence over the many. It doesn't matter if you live in China. It doesn't matter if you live in Russia. It doesn't matter if you live in Europe, Australia, United States, South America, Central America, Mexico, Canada, in the small island nations, that are like the one that I forget what the country is called, but basically it's the one that had those nut jobs who went in and shot up 2 mosques and basically killed a whole bunch of people. It really doesn't matter. It's when the vast majority can be taken out of the process. That's not a democracy. That's a casino democracy. A casino democracy, as I said, the house always wins. You can't have a democracy when the house always wins. So, I talk a lot about what I see as progress, what I see as equity and equality and prosperity, and having a brighter future, and that is basically giving us the time and the ability to actually make connections, to be informed, to be educated, to be given the drive to find greater wisdom within ourselves collectively. My vision would be a world where money and ownership is basically non-existent, where we're not constantly looking to find work and constantly worried about money, and so that we can buy food and we can have our modern modern commodities, where it's produced and given without a uh, without without any bias. And I've spoken about how we can achieve that. I've spoken about how in a system like that, we can pay closer attention. We can invest more time and effort into growing our wisdom and leaving behind childhood, because it doesn't matter if I physically look like this. If my mental and physical and emotional growth, which I name as spirituality, is hasn't left behind childishness and childhood, then we cannot call ourselves adults. We cannot say that we are responsible. And that is the system I see, where we are given the time. We are given the ability to guide the children we have, while at the same time working to guide ourselves into greater wisdom, thereby having universal compassion, empathy, where we have universality, where we are growing and leaving behind a home, which I always say is not what you see here, but the planet itself, the mother, the nurturer, the provider. And I've explained in my past videos on how we can do that. So check out some of my other videos on how we can use technology to automate things, so that it can automatically produce what we want and what we need, so that more of us don't have to work. And if we do, it's because we're doing it because we want to learn, because we want to do it. And it's not a job, it's a hobby, it's a way to learn. It's a way to get us exercise and keep ourselves healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. I've explained that, in this, we can spend more time on educating ourselves and informing ourselves. And that is the greatest way forward. And that is how we will get a Star Trek like future. And that is how we will find greater aspirations, and not limiting ourselves on how we look physically. Are we attractive? Do we have sex appeal? I want to be famous because I have a great singing voice, or athleticism. I want greater aspirations for us all, because the greater our aspirations, the more we can aspire to do, the more dreams we can have, the more happiness. It all comes naturally. We can have more natural relations. In this casino type of democracy and civilization, what we have is unnatural. It is illusionary fantasy. It puts a collar, a chain around us. It corrals us. It locks us down. We need to be able to think. And, and I'm not trying to tout my own horn, or I'm not trying to but we need to think more like I'm thinking right now. How I keep espousing the wisdoms that I see, a future that we all collectively want. This is something that we've been talking about as long as we have existed in the world, on the planet. This is something we all have. This is a common dream, a common wealth for us all. But we can't have that if we continue to allow the few to create the casino democracies and authoritarian or fascism or feudalism or any of that. And the way to do that is to be able to think clearly, critically, to be informed, to get educated, to aspire to have more aspirations, to have dreams, to have the time to find aspirations and dreams. And in that process, we get to learn how to leave a better planet, a better home for ourselves. That in the future, it will only get better. And we will leave a mother, a planet, the earth that will provide us. That's what we should all want. And that's what we've been espousing and wishing for. But we have to take the blinders off. We have to crush and sweep away all the falsehoods, the lies. And when I talk about lies, I'm not talking about just simply other people. I'm talking about the lies we tell ourselves. Because when we do that, we can start making connections. When we do that, we can start moving forward. That's what we need. Wars and conflicts and tensions, they will drastically start getting less. We will not look with simplicity with our eyes and see physical differences as being other, as being lesser, because it will naturally come and we will accept reality because we don't want others to be able to come up to us and shoot us or stab us or force us to have sex, or pressure us, or cheat us, or lie to us None of us want any of that. And we don't want those who do these heinous, horrible acts to be able to get away with it and keep standing and amass more influence and power. That is natural law. We want equity. We want equality. We want a better world. Because right now we're not living a life. We're in bondage to those lies, to the hypocrisy and all that. Call it bondage, call it slavery, call it whatever. It's all of that and more. All right, thank you for your time.